Hi, everyone. Today we are going to be interviewing some of our favorite lenders in the Valley. Their names are Brian and Jeremy Yampolsky, and we're going to learn a little bit about them and what they do in their business. So, Brian, why don't you start? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from Arizona?
Thank you, Emma. I am not from Arizona. Nobody's from Arizona. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I was born and raised there till I think 18, and then I ended up coming out to Arizona to go to school at U of A. So when I came out here, I just decided to stay because if you've ever compared Arizona to Omaha, Nebraska, it's not much of a contest.
Yeah, definitely.
We have done that.
I was born in Omaha as well. Didn't stay there very long, but
How did I not know that?
I don't know how you didn't know that. What about you, Jeremy? Were you born here then?
Yeah, contrary to what Brian said, that nobody's born in Arizona, I was. Yeah, born and raised. I've stayed here all my life. I love it here, and I don't see myself moving very soon. I also went to the University of Arizona down in Tucson, and then moved right back up to Phoenix.
Awesome. And so you guys are lenders. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like for you. Obviously, you have the same last name as well. So you're a father-son team, which is kind of fun, similar to Michelle and I. I notice you call your dad Brian as well. I always call her Michelle because I'm not going to call her mom at work. But how is that working together? You guys seemed like you are like such a good team.
Once I joined the team a little over 2 years ago, we can now officially say that Orion Mortgage is a family-owned business. And I think we work really well together as a team. We were actually talking about it the other day. I have 2 other siblings, and I think out of the 3 of us, I work best with him. And so I think it's a good match. We work well together. We have the same type of humor too, so it makes it very easy to be relaxed and cool in the workplace as well.
I think what I heard was he said only 1/3 of my family can work with me.
Maybe selective hearing.
Well, Michelle, you don't have better odds, I don't think, than Brian. So
I do not have better odds, fortunately.
I will say this though. I think it's a unique perspective because I, of course, have been around a lot longer, so I've got a lot of experience that I can draw on. But Jeremy brings not just a newer and younger perspective, but he brings a different kind of energy, and he also quite frankly, he's more talented in some areas that I'm not. So we really do complement each other very well and work together great. So I'm very happy.
I want to know what they like to do to have fun.
That's too personal.
No fun in your life?
it's not just business, it's personal.
That's right. That's
all right. So I'm gonna go first because Jeremy's gonna have a lot more interesting answer than mine. Man, I want to say what I used to do. I used to run. I used to play golf. I used to do a lot of things. I don't do any of that anymore. I am old, and that means I go for walks. I try to work out, and I really enjoy just hanging out with my family and my little baby bulldog, Bentley. She's beautiful. But that's really, I mean, I enjoy watching football on Sundays, and I enjoy going to Suns games, and really whatever my wife, dog, and kids are doing, that's where I want to be.
Excellent. I love it. Jeremy.
Yeah, one of the many things that we share interest in is obviously, you can tell, the Phoenix Suns. Probably one of the most avid Suns fans that you'll meet. I love keeping up with the team and watching the games, going to the games. Huge Cardinals fan too, big sports guy, but I also love going to the theater as well. I've been involved in musical theater for 21 years of my life. So you're not involved in a lot of things for over 20 years in your life. So it's something that I still enjoy performing in. I perform in a couple of shows. I'm in the middle of directing a youth production of Shrek Jr., which I told the Sheltons about the last time we saw them. So staying involved in the theater and then just going to see shows around the Valley as well is how I like to spend my time.
I can't believe I left something out.
What is it?
Something integral in who I am and what I enjoy doing. How many decades long Springsteen fan? So this year, I'm actually going to see Springsteen in Kansas City. I'm going to take my youngest kid with me. So that means all 3 of my kids have gone to a Springsteen show with me. So I'm going to see him in Kansas City, February. I think I'm going to see him in August in Philly. And then I think I'm going to see him in Phoenix in November. So I am a big Springsteen fan. I've probably seen him about 15 times.
Wow.
I think you did tell me that one time.
Yeah, I remember you saying the last time that we met up that you were going to be taking your son and that was going to be 3 for 3. You should have just taken them all at once. That would have been a little easier, right?
Can't afford the tickets.
Yeah, music tickets are insane right now. I mean, super expensive.
So you guys mentioned you work at Orion. It's family run. Tell us a little bit about your company. How long have you been doing this? I know, Jeremy, you said 2 years. How about you, Brian?
A little bit longer. This is my 30th year in the mortgage business. We opened Orion Mortgage. I'm one of the owners. We opened Orion Mortgage in January of 2000. And we are we're a small local broker. It's important to give the distinction between what a broker does and what a banker does. A banker is just like what people probably already think a banker does. You go to B of A or Wells or Chase and you get a mortgage. But a broker is different. A broker, we contract with a dozen or more different wholesale lenders, which the benefit for that is simple. It gives clients better interest rates, a better experience, and it doesn't cost them anything extra to go through a broker because the wholesale lenders that we send our loans to pay us. So our clients don't pay us anything.
Okay, excellent.
We've been around long enough to have seen mostly the growth in our market, but also there was that little reversal in 2008, 9, 10 when there was a little bit of a housing crisis that happened. So we saw that, we got through it. There's been a lot of interesting markets over those 23 years, but most of them have been very positive.
What do you love about owning your own company?
That's a really good open-ended question, Michelle. I would say what I enjoy most about owning my own company is however hard I want to work, I see the results directly, coming back to me. So if I feel like I've got the potential to do a lot more, then I can put in the effort and I can do a lot more, and I'll make a lot more money. I'll make a lot more clients. I'll have a lot more success, just depending on how much effort I want to put into it. As opposed to if I don't own my own company or if I don't run my own business, maybe I don't have that opportunity. But it really is kind of up to me in terms of what I want my professional life to look like.
Yeah, awesome.
You guys are the father-son Yampolsky team. Who else works on your team? Do you guys have assistants or other partners that you work with in your office?
Yes, we have a couple of processors, Shelly and Brenna, who are rock stars. Cannot speak highly enough of them. They help so much throughout the loan process. They are the ones who talk to the underwriters and go through all of the conditions and make sure that once we take the loan application, that everything else after that is kind of working its way on the back end. So they rock. Brian has a business partner who he opened Orion Mortgage with, Joe. So they're co-owners. And we have someone at the front desk, Carrie, who helps with the closings and, greets people when they come in. And then a couple other of LOs who are kind of part-time, but we love seeing them when they do come in, and when they have a loan, we celebrate them as well.
Awesome.
With Emma and I, the way we kind of work, we work every deal together. Do you guys work your own deals? Do you work separate, or do you kind of communicate together? And, we do a lot of 3-way phone calls, 3-way text messages, and to keep us all on the same page. And sometimes we split duties. So Emma will be doing signs and pictures and that kind of thing, and I'm doing negotiations and contract writing. Do you guys have something similar, or do you divide and conquer? How do you run your business?
So to keep that really simple for our clients, we present ourselves as the Yampolsky team. And we tell them, you can call either of us. It doesn't matter. We work together in the same office. So if there's a client that can't reach me, but they can reach Jeremy, that's absolutely fine. But the reality is there are going to be some realtors that refer their clients to me. There are going to be some realtors that refer their clients to Jeremy. And so most of the time, we're working with our own clients. But just like I was telling you, I'm going to go see Springsteen 1,700 times this year. And while I'm gone, Jeremy's going to be taking care of things and covering for me. So we do work as a team. But I would say, depending on who the client is or who's referring the client, one of us is kind of the lead for each individual file.
Okay, good answer. Jeremy, anything to add to that?
I don't think so. I think he kind of checked every box there.
You know, be able to go on vacation and have a life and know that there's someone that you really, really trust that's going to be watching your business and taking care of your people in the same way that you would, because you guys share DNA. I'm sure you're both doing, I mean, I know you're both doing an amazing job with clients and making sure they're taken care of, but also taking care of yourself and having a life, because it is hard to do in this business. So I'm glad you guys.
I will add to that. I'll say that it's, you know, whenever you hire someone on your team, whether it's just one person or a whole team of people, the most important thing is to find people who care enough about the business and the clients as much as you do. And you don't really know what you're going to get when you hire someone. But when you hire your son, who you've known for, 20 plus years, you pretty much have a good idea of what you're getting into. And I'm really happy to say that Jeremy cares about the clients just as much, if not sometimes more, I think, than I do. And so we really do cover the business in a very complete way.
Good.
Yeah, I can see that. From working with you guys, I can see that. Emma, do you want to kind of go into benefits to buyers?
Yeah. So what do you guys see as something that sets you apart from other lenders? I know that you explained the difference between a broker and a banker, but other lenders in the Valley, what sets you guys apart from them?
What makes us special?
Yeah.
Well, maybe
We know, of course, we know, but we want everybody else to know too.
I'll take this one. I think that, any lender can originate a loan. It's not really about getting it done. Everybody's goal is to, when there's a contract, is to get the loan done on time. That's everybody's goal, no matter where you go. Obviously, that's one of our goals, but the way that our business model is run is 100% referral based. So that means that we really need to focus on the client experience throughout the loan process, so that when they want to buy another home, they come back. Or more importantly, when they hear of a friend or a family member or a coworker who is looking for a home, they say, oh, you know what? I loved the guys that I worked with here. Let me give you Brian and Jeremy's card. Because that's how our business works. And I think that pretty much sets us apart from almost any other lender that you'll work with, or mortgage broker, because we care about our clients, because we care, but also because we need to in order to keep our business running. One thing I think that you won't find anywhere else is the amount of communication that you'll get. We try not to overload on communication, but we will call you at least once a week. And if there's an update, if we call you on Monday and there's an update on Thursday, say you get clear to close on Thursday, we're going to call you on Thursday to tell you that good news. Just so that you're updated. We're calling the client, we're calling the buyer's agent, and we're calling the seller's agent, which I've heard sellers agents say, wow, I've never gotten this communication from the broker before. And so I think that sets us apart, that communication specifically to the listing agent, because then they can go to their client, the sellers, and say, hey, here's how the process is going.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's how we originally met you guys, is that we were the listing agents on a property, and your communication was just stellar, like unlike anything I've ever experienced and still haven't experienced really with other lenders. And that definitely sets you guys apart, because going through the loan process, as realtors, as lenders and brokers, we do this every single day. But for the general public and people buying homes, this is a huge event in their life, and it's very stressful. And I think just giving that little check-in every week, hey, this is how we're doing, this is what's going on, just makes people feel safe, which is really important in this process. You guys do a great job of that.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Is there other things that you do that you think you kind of have them systematized? I've seen that come through. What can you tell us about that? I mean, I think it's great that the communication is there, but what else do you do?
You know what? I want to answer that with something that just pops to mind. The first thing, and it's going to sound fundamental, and it is, but you really have to take a minute at the beginning, because at the beginning of this process, someone's trying to buy a house, they're freaked out, just from the start. And then they have to talk to a mortgage person about all their personal, financial, credit history, income, all that stuff that they typically don't talk to other people about. So there's a lot going on. And I find it very helpful to start the beginning by setting expectations and say, look, you're buying a house. We're going to go through this process with you. I want to set the expectation. There's going to be a lot to go through. You're going to get a lot of emails from a lot of different people asking you for a lot of different things. But my message to them is, but that's normal. Like, don't freak out. And if there's questions that you have, like, why do I need to pay for the appraisal up front, or any questions, that's why we're here, is to give you answers and guide you through the process. If we started off that way, I feel like the process goes through a lot smoother and the clients are a lot happier. And it, like I said, it sounds fundamental, but there was a period of time where I didn't even think to do that. And I was finding that people were, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? But if you just stop at the beginning and say, look, here's what you should expect over the next 30 days, it really helps out a lot. And you're right, Michelle, we do like to have fun. We do like to have relationships with our clients. And Jeremy said it before, we really do care about the experience that they're having. So we want that to be one that they enjoy.
So would it be fair to say, because I have an agenda I'm trying to get to here, that you do a lot of education for people so that they understand, like what you said, the why behind everything?
I think we have to do a lot of education, because if you're a typical home buyer, Michelle, let's say, and I tell you about the APR on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage and quote you how many points are involved in that, in addition to the closing costs and prepaid expenses, not to mention the HOA fees, your head will explode.
I've glazed over.
You won't know what the hell I'm talking about. So education it cannot be understated that it takes time. It takes talking slowly so that, they understand the words. I think the educational piece is important. That's why we've created so many videos. In fact, we have I think there's an 8 video series that we put together, Jers, that's intended for people who are just starting the process. These are 8 things that you should really be aware of when you're going through the mortgage process. And they're really quick, and they're really 1-minute videos, but it's helpful. It's going to educate the client more than they probably expected to be.
How do people find those videos?
They're secrets.
So nobody ever sees them.
Yeah, we haven't shown them to anybody.
We're showing them to anyone.
They're just for you.
Actually, I think on my email signature, I have a link saying, link to 60-second mortgage tips or 1-minute mortgage tips. But then also Jeremy does a really good job of sending a link to every new buyer. I think it's every week for 8 weeks, they're going to get a link that, isn't that right, Jeremy?
Yeah. So once we have an initial conversation with them that they want to buy a home, then I put them in our system with their email and their phone number, and they'll get sent one video for the next 8 weeks. Just like Brian said, with helpful hints or tips or things to think about when you're buying a home. 1, so that they're reminded to come to us, and 2, that, maybe they don't know that they shouldn't get a new credit card or open a new line of credit when they're looking to buy a home. And so I know that's one of the videos that goes out. I think that's really helpful for people looking to buy a home. We also have a whole nother video series that goes out to our entire database and realtors called Breaking Down the Mortgage, which we try to keep to about a minute and a half. And those are mostly updates within the mortgage industry or things that we think people should know about.
Jeremy came up with that title, by the way, Breaking Down the Mortgage. And I'm like, why are we going to call it Breaking Down the Mortgage? And he said, because we're mortgage brokers.
That's funny.
I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I love it.
No, that's funny. So tips for home buyers. Some of the questions here that we have are, what current loan programs are you excited about right now?
I know he has an answer for this one.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I might be overhyping it a little, but I think it's really creative and kind of exciting. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got a married couple who are unfortunately getting divorced. One of them was the traditional breadwinner, working, bringing home income. The other one was maybe taking care of the house, taking care of the family, taking care of the kids. And they decide to get divorced, and that spouse that doesn't have an employment history or an income history says, I'm leaving, I'm going to go buy my own house, I'm out. That's what they do. They do that.
They do the
all the time. And the challenge then is, all right, they come to me and they say, I need a mortgage. And I say, well, you don't have any job. You don't have any job history. You don't have any income. If they have assets, and I'll give you an example. If they have $360,000 or more of assets, investable assets, like in a Charles Schwab account or in any kind of account. And I know not everybody has those kind of assets, but if they do, they can create income for themselves. And I'll be very brief in how I describe it. They take their asset, they put it into a trust account. If they don't have a trust account, they get a trust account and they fund that trust. So now the trust has a certain amount of assets in it, and they can take a monthly distribution. It doesn't have to happen every month, but they can take a one-time monthly distribution, and I can use that distribution as their monthly income and qualify them for a mortgage based on that income that they've really just created out of their own assets. So it really helps in that scenario where, it's not a first-time homebuyer solution necessarily, but for someone who's, as I said, needs to buy a house, doesn't have an employment history, or even if they do, if they're self-employed and they write everything off, so they don't really have any income on their tax returns to show. This is another way of using assets to create income. That's kind of an exciting way to help people who really can afford to buy, but they just don't fit into the box for getting a mortgage.
Maybe Jeremy, do you have any other things that you're excited about as far as loan programs specifically?
I am always excited about the VA loans, because with VA loans specifically, the borrower doesn't have to put any money down. They can go 0% down, which is 100% the cheapest way to buy a home. Obviously, you have to be either active duty or a veteran to receive a VA loan, or you can be the spouse of a veteran as well. Only available for veterans and spouse of veterans. But I always get excited when I see a VA loan because they don't have to put any money down.
How high can you go on VA now? Is there a limit?
Ooh, I believe the VA max is the same as the Fannie and Freddie conventional limit, which is now $726.
Six, I guess.
Is it?
Wow.
Yeah, $726,200. Now, if somebody, let me give you this because this is kind of unusual. If somebody wants to buy above that, let's say 800,000, okay? You can get a VA loan for above the $726,000 limit, but whatever they go above that, the borrower or the veteran has to put in 25% of that additional portion. So it's possible to go higher. It's just not zero down.
I did not know that. That's good to know.
I'm full of things that you didn't know you didn't know.
I know, that's why you're here.
What do you guys think is the most important thing for buyers to be looking for when they're selecting their lender? If you were a buyer, a new buyer, you didn't know anything what would you want out of a lender? What would you be searching for?
So kind of like piggybacking on what Jeremy was talking about earlier, where, I think you said something about how, the lenders all have, the same money. Like the product itself, the mortgage, the money is no different from one lender to another. The money is money. It's not like it's bigger or brighter or tastes better or whatever. I think what's different is the person you're dealing with. So if you're a home buyer and you're talking to, let's say, a couple different lenders, a couple different loan officers, I think you should be asking yourself, which one of these two people is answering my questions? Which one of these two people is responding to my concerns and responding to my phone calls and responding to my emails in kind of a, in a way that makes me feel like they think I'm important. And maybe the last way to describe it is which one of these two people is looking out for my best interests. And I think you can get a sense of that when you talk to people, whether it's in the mortgage process or any other type of business transaction. You can get a sense of if someone truly cares about you as a client or a customer, or if they're just kind of looking, to close another transaction or make money off of you. So I think those are some important things for people to keep in mind when they're talking to more than one mortgage person. That's my answer.
Good answer. Jeremy, do you have anything to add?
I 100% agree. Like I said earlier, it's about the experience. And I know it can be difficult to try to determine that off of maybe like one or two phone conversations with some people. But most of the time, or I hope every time that someone calls us when they get pre-qualified, I hope they leave with that feeling of, okay, I trust these guys. They care about me. They're going to let me know if anything changes. Those are the important things. The whoever has the best interest rate, it's not going to vary by much with who you go to. Everyone kind of has the same rate. So just like Brian said, it's not about the product. It's not about what we're selling. We're selling money. It's going to be the same. It's going to be all about the experience.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. So I've had a lot of buyers in the past and recently that they don't know exactly when they're going to buy. And they are like, well, I'm 6 months out, I'm a year out. And I urge them to speak to a lender because they don't know what they can afford. They don't, those are conversations that need to happen before looking at homes. But in your guys' opinion, when should a potential buyer reach out in the process? When should they, in a timeline, when's the best time to reach out to you guys in their home search?
I think whenever you start thinking about buying a home, you should reach out to us. One, because we'll get you pre-qualified. That way, when you look at homes with Team Shelton, you know how much you can afford. If you don't get pre-qualified and you're going to look at $800,000, $900,000 houses, and then you come talk to us and we say, oh, you can only afford up to $650,000. Okay, well, now you just wasted that weekend of looking at homes you can't afford. So it's good to come to us even if you're thinking about a home, because sometimes your credit score might need a little bit of fixing, which can take a little bit of time to get your credit score up. That's one reason to talk to us earlier than you might expect. But then if you know you're ready and you're confident in your credit score and you've been on the job for 3 years and you have solid income and you're ready, I'd say talk to us maybe 5 to 6 months before you really want to start looking at a home, just to get an initial conversation going. And then we can get that pre-qualification letter to the Sheltons and start looking at some homes.
Great. And, I always have people, they're like, well, I don't want to get pre-qualified right now because it's not going to last for that long and I'll have to do it again. What do you tell those people?
That's fine. That's a very common question I get. It's really not as big of an issue as people kind of tend to think it is. If you get pre-qualified today, technically the pre-qual form lasts for 60 days. But realistically, if they don't buy a home for 90 or 120 days or any time later than that, as long as everything that they told us is still the same, so if they have the same job, same income, they haven't bought 3 new cars, if everything's kind of the same, we can just extend the date of the pre-qual letter. So they don't have to go through the process more than once. I think the only time someone shouldn't call to get pre-qualified is if they're paying cash. But if they're not paying cash, they should call, because you guys, when you write a contract, you need the pre-qual letter to go along with the contract. So it's not even a question of someone thinking, well, I can afford it, no problem. I make $1 million a day, whatever the case is. They're going to still need a pre-qual letter in order to submit an offer. And so it's a phone call.
Yeah. And I know you guys talked earlier about the amount of things that you guys tend to need when you are going to be doing their loan and during the processing process. I feel like getting it that far in advance gives you that time to, pull your bank statements, your job history, your debts, all of that, rather than like, okay, my lease is up in 2 months and I got to get all this together and I got to find a house and I got to get my pre-qualification. I think doing it in that longer process allows people to be less stressed and get everything that they need to get to you in a timely manner instead of, stressing out about it and doing it all in a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. So,
Emma, do you remember when we were talking a little bit ago and I was describing how the buyers are going to go through a lot. There's a lot to do. And you're right. If you can take this part of it and just take care of it, set it aside, then you can actually focus on looking at the homes.
Yeah.
And that's the part that people usually enjoy. So it's kind of like eat your vegetables, do it now, then go enjoy the rest of your meal.
Yeah, exactly. So what things should buyers avoid when getting that pre-qualification and going through the loan process? I know you guys mentioned a couple of things, but what kind of things would you recommend buyers avoid?
Don't incur any more lines of debt. So don't open a new credit card. Don't buy a new car. No big purchases. Obviously, you can buy your groceries and get gas and things you need to live. But don't do that. Don't get a new job or don't get fired, hopefully. Or if you do, make sure it's a job that is maybe you're getting promoted, or maybe making more money. That's fine. But once you talk to us, the more that you can keep the same before you buy a house, the easier it'll be to document.
That's a good answer. I think another way to say it is that underwriters who approve loans like to see consistency. So if you've got 3 jobs in the last 12 months, that can be an issue. The other thing that came to my mind when you asked that question was sometimes people like to move money around. Like I'm going to move money from this account to my homebuyer account and then transfer from my savings into that account. And pretty soon they've got 4 or 5 different transfers. And that can be kind of a pain in the what to document. Because when an underwriter sees transfers of large sums of money, they want to know where it came from. So yeah, I just tell people don't move money around. Just leave it where it's at. It's a lot easier that way.
Yeah. And don't be putting just like large sums of cash. If you have a car or something that you sell and you got 5-6 grand in cash, what I always tell my buyers is call the lender, ask them what to do before you do this, because you guys are the experts. And, I always point them to you guys because it's just like, find out what they want to do. This is their process and they will give you the best next steps in order to do that. Cause it doesn't mean you can't make, different cash during that process, but it needs to be documented because those underwriters want to see that.
That's right.
And I had a thing happen one time because, we sell a lot of horse property. The guy sold some horses, but they weren't registered horses. So there was no way to track it. Because it was kind of a handshake in the pasture. He put it on Craigslist or something and they came and bought this horse. He had the money, he put it in his account and he wanted to use it for his down payment. He couldn't buy a house. He couldn't use it.
That makes me think a lot of times we'll see people sell a car and you have to document, well, how much is that car really worth? And it's easy. You go to Kelley Blue Book online. You can't do that with a horse, can you?
No, you cannot do it with a horse.
Yeah.
So that was really a learning. That was years and years ago, but I don't even know if it would still be that way, but I'm assuming it would be. But he was just heartbroken because, he got quite a bit of money for the horse. It was a nice horse, but it wasn't registered. So there was really no way to track it.
Michelle, the next time that happens, call me. I have a solution.
Okay. Do you want to
know
tell us?
it?
Yeah, tell us.
All right. So let's say you have someone today who sold the horse. They want to close on the house in 30 days, but they can't document where all this money came from. How much is the money they're getting from the sale of the horse? How much?
$5,000.
$5,000? Perfect. Leave that $5,000 cash out of the conversation and instead have the buyer call their mom, dad, grandma, grandpa,
Gifted
family member and say, hey, family member, can you please gift me $5,000? A gift is totally allowable. So get the $5,000 gift. And then after they get the gift and it's documented, they can do whatever they want with that $5,000 of cash. I'm pretty sure I know what they're going to do with it. But that's one way to God, it sounds like money laundering, but it's, it's,
No, it makes
It's-
sense because you can track that and it's allowed. So we
It's
always want to
trackable.
operate. Yeah, we always want to operate, on the up and up, and that's a way to do that. So I think that's great.
it's trackable and it's totally legitimate and allowable. That's the solution.
And you're not doing any horse trading or any of that stuff. Well, sort of.
Okay, well, that's pretty much everything I have for you guys, unless there's anything that you guys want to add. Anything about the loan process, programs, things buyers should know. I know that your videos are probably a great resource for that. Anything you guys want to add?
I'll add one thing. For whoever's watching this video, I hope you get the sense that the Sheltons are really doing the business the right way. They're trying to educate the public. They're trying to educate their clients, and not every real estate agent is like that. So, as mortgage brokers, we get to see all kinds of realtors. We see two realtors on every transaction. And I'm just going to say that it's the minority of them that are the ones that you would want to work with. And the Sheltons are definitely doing it the right way. So we appreciate the relationship we have with you. And, we're just here to serve. So let us know when you need help.
That's so nice of you to say. We feel the same way about you guys because we deal with lots of lenders too. And you guys are someone I recommend. And there's not very many people I do recommend.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I feel the same way. And, some of the things that I think we touched on a little bit, but some of the things that I like about you guys are your consistency. It's very hard in this business, whether you're a realtor or you're a lender, to be consistent because there's so many things that we're doing. And, it's almost like popcorn. You're popping over here and over here and over there and answer the phone, send an email and check on this and check on that one. And you really have to have systems and models in place to kind of rope in your time. And I think you guys do that very well. You're great at staying in touch. And you like to have fun. So,
We do like to have fun.
I go back to that because I like to have fun. I mean, nobody wants to, have a grueling process that they have to go to. And if it is grueling, if there's a little fun in there, it's helpful. So I think you guys are very, very good at that. Your communication, which, the number one complaint in real estate is lack of communication or poor communication. That's where all the problems stem from, right? You hear, when my husband and I went out for dinner last night and we sat at the bar because we didn't have reservations, and we were sitting next to this other couple and they were like, our realtor didn't tell us this. They didn't tell us that. They didn't tell us this. And my husband goes, it goes back to communication. So thank you for being great at that. It's super helpful. Our clients love it. I'm going to leave you with one final, it's a quick question. I want you to just popcorn out maybe one word or a sentence. Okay. And that is, what is your favorite thing about your job?
Learning is the word. It's super cliche, but I learned something new every day, and that's something that I didn't get in the job that I was working before this. And so I really like every day is a little bit different. I get to learn something new and talk to new people.
Awesome. Brian.
I don't learn a lot, but I'll say that I think the thing I enjoy most is that our clients are involved in probably one of the most important transactions of their lives. And it's a super big deal. And they're excited and they're nervous. And there's all these emotions that surround the process. And so to be a part of that and then to be able to help them achieve this, buying their first home or buying their second home or whatever it is a really rewarding process. So I'm glad that what we do has a real impact on our clients' lives.
That's a great answer. Well, thank you so much. So Jeremy, you want to give us your phone number so if they call you or text you and they say, hey, we want those 8 mortgage tips, or, how do we do that? Can you put your number, tell us your number here?
Absolutely. You can give us a call at 602-912-0222. I'm extension 9. Brian is extension 5. Like we said earlier, you can call either one of us, or you can email us. My email is Jeremy, Jeremy, @orionmtg.com. Super easy. If you want the link to those videos or want to be added to the list of people that receive those videos, definitely give me a call or shoot me an email.
And how is Orion? Is it just like it sounds?
ORION.
Okay. Okay.
Cool. And you guys are on, I know we talked about this, you're on TikTok and Facebook Watch and all those kinds of things too. Should they just reach out to you by phone to find those? Do you guys have like a link tree or anything that has all those resources on there?
You know what, Emma? Now that you say it, we should, because we have so many channels that we're on. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook. But yeah, if I know that in our email signature, we have some links to some of those things. But yeah, I think creating a link tree would be great. But if anybody wants that sort of information, feel free to send me an email and I'll get it to you.
And let me just make a note here. Find out what Linktree is. Okay. Right.
We'll send you ours and then you can explore that. Okay.
Got it.
All right. And thank you both for being here and taking time out of your day. I know we're all busy, but we really want to educate the clients out there and potential clients and the consumer on what realtors and lenders, great realtors and great lenders really do and how they come together.
If you are looking for a loan and you want a great experience, reach out to Jeremy and Brian and know that they will take really great care of you and your family. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Sheltons.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.